If you're anything like me, you might get a little bit frustrated when someone asks you about carnivore and then immediately cuts you off and tells you you're about to die. You might also be frustrated when you see a news report or some influencer video telling you how red meat is so bad for you. I know I am. And in this video, I want to talk about the sinister forces behind carnivore denial. Now, I want to say up front that this is my opinion, and as an individual, I know I don't have all the answers. So after you've watched this video, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. That said, when something happens, I've always believed that the simplest explanation typically ends up being closest to the truth. That said, the first of these sinister forces is money. There is always a profit motive. Take someone like Bill Gates. He would never be interested in a carnivore diet because it is not something that you can make a lot of money from. Now, even if you could make a lot of money with raising cattle and selling those cattle, he would not be interested in that because you can't scale it enough. Bill Gates is interested in things that will scale. People like Bill Gates too, whether it's Jeff Bezos, whatever his name is, and all the rest of the people that are looking into producing things like fake meat and fake other kinds of food. That's what they're interested in. They'll invest so much money into all of these producing of fakeness now because they know over the long term they can scale this kind of thing. The stuff that you can't do with cattle. So when you see Bill Gates on TV talking about how we've got to do something about the methane coming from these cows, take it with a pinch of salt because he is literally talking through his backside. He doesn't care about the environment. If he did, he wouldn't be pumping so much money into factories producing fake food. Those emissions from those factories have to go somewhere, don't they? The other side of the money thing, the profit motive thing, is you've got a lot of influencers out there and just normal mainstream media that are reliant on the money they are earning from the standard dietary advice. There's a lot of people invested in you buying low calorie diets, buying exercise programs that you think, if I just do this running, I'm going to lose all this weight. There's so many people invested in that, right? So, for example, take influencers. Influencers that are in making money for years from their blog or from their YouTube channel, and they're selling their low fat diet course, whatever it is. They're not suddenly going to go, oh, yeah, the carnivore diet's a good thing, because what's going to happen to this diet business they're running? It's going to disappear. The same with the mainstream media, What mainstream media is actually going to suddenly go, you know what, we should talk more about this carnivore diet in a positive light because it seems that people are getting better doing this. Well, they've got no motivation to do that at all because their advertisers are the kind of advertisers that are more likely to be pushing a plant-based diet. Their advertisers, the big pharma advertisers with these networks, don't suddenly want everyone getting better because the networks are promoting a carnivore diet, right? So there's no motivation at all because of money to promote carnivore. So money is number one. The next sinister forces are human nature related, and I think these human natures get exploited by marketing companies, the medical industry, big pharma, etc. The first one is lassification. People are lazy. People don't want to change. People don't want to take risks. People don't want to think that there's another way of doing things that is going to require them to take effort. It's just human nature, right? We get comfortable. We want to stay comfortable. We don't want to go out and start taking all these risks that could end in disaster for us. At the end of the day, if it's different, it's going to be uncomfortable. And this is all the motivation we need as humans to be able to say, you know what? This is a bad idea. I don't think this carnivore is good. I'm happy the way I am. So, like laziness and wanting comfort all the time, I think when someone actually breaks out of their kind of that kind of thinking and they actually go, okay, well, I'll give carnivore a try. I think they deserve a lot of props because it's really hard to get out of that kind of, yeah, I know maybe that's better or maybe this is a good idea or something, but I just want to stay where I am. It's very easy to fall into that mindset. Doctors, too, they are people too, most of them. And they are lazy too. Doctors don't want to change. Doctors want to go with the way they've been taught to do things, typically. And the really important thing here is that when doctors kind of succumb to that human nature thing of being lazy and seeking comfort, they do something that's so detrimental. They hang up their critical thinking skills. Because using your critical thinking skills requires you to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. It requires you to think and consider that everything that you've ever been taught might not be the gospel truth. And everything that you've heard might be somewhat correct, but maybe there are other things happening that you need to investigate. Critical thinking requires brain power. It requires asking questions. It requires questioning your assumptions about things. It requires potentially pushing back against the mainstream. And most people will be too lazy to do that. Your average doctor is going to be much happier seeking comfort. The next one is indoctrination. People receive marketing messages from as soon as they can comprehend the world around them. Now, they might be first-hand marketing messages through TV commercials or billboards and things like that, or they could be second or third hand through parents and teachers and doctors and that kind of thing. And when you're indoctrinated with this constant messaging, everything outside the narrative seems counterintuitive. Of course, fat makes you fat. Nothing else makes sense. Who would ever believe that fat can make you thin? Doesn't make sense. And this goes for almost every area of your life. Often the thing that seems most counterintuitive is the thing that actually works. And part of the reason that is because no one can make money or can make very little money from the counterintuitive approach. And that's why it's now counterintuitive. People might have used that in the past, but companies want to make money, right? The medical industry wants to make money. Big Pharma wants to make money. So it behooves them to find the way that makes them the most money. And often the thing that makes them the most money is marketing away from the counterintuitive way of doing things. So the last sinister force, or the last human nature point that's kind of used against people in a sinister fashion is assimilation. And if you've ever worked in an office environment, typically people don't want to stand out. They want to assimilate. They want to just fit in. They want to do their job. They want to be seen as a good worker and someone who agrees with the boss and someone who can get the job done and everyone's happy with them. They don't want to stand out. They don't want to be seen as the person who's always disrupting things by asking questions and saying, is this actually the best way of doing this process? Could we maybe think about doing this a different way and see if this makes us more productive? People typically don't want that, right? The boss doesn't want to be challenged. The other people in the office environment don't want to be like, oh, I don't want to change my ways. This is difficult. Laziness, comfort. I don't want to change. I want to stay the same. I'm comfortable like this. I feel good like this. I don't want to do a new process, even if it speeds up productivity in the company or makes things better in the company. I don't want to do that. And the same goes for diet. When you've got every media outlet and all the gurus out there talking about diet like the only way to lose weight is to eat less and exercise more, if you suddenly hear someone's doing a carnivore diet, your first instinct might be to say, that's ridiculous. I've never heard anything as crazy in my life. I'm happy with my eat less, move more diet. And even if you're not actually the healthiest you could be, you feel good about yourself because you fit in with the group. No one's going to be talking about you behind your back. And just to put a bow around all of these, if you combine money, lassification, indoctrination, and assimilation together, it's not hard to see why the phrase trust the science was so easily adopted. And if you want to hear more about how awesome carnivore actually is, check out this video next.